Good afternoon and welcome to our coverage of this final game of the weekend in round 5 of the FOSROC Super 6. And we're at Myreside this afternoon as Watsonians Rugby take on Stirling Wolves. Well, it's been an unusual weekend in the Super 6 with only one game today following the postponement of the Southern Knights against Ayrshire Bulls. That should have taken place earlier this afternoon, but instead the Bulls agreed to play Glasgow Warriors in a pre-season friendly after original opponents Worcester Warriors were forced to pull out. And interestingly, it was close. That took place up at Inverness, and the Warriors narrowly beat the Ayrshire Bulls by 22 points to 17. And that Southern Knights Ayrshire Bulls game will now be played next Saturday. Should have been a break week, but we will get our fix of Super 6 after all. We did have our usual Friday night fixture, of course. That took place at Megatland last night. Boroughmuir Bears 26 points to 17 winners against Heriot's Rugby. And if you're a Bears fan, that certainly makes for good reading on the league table. As they have now leapfrogged Watsonians Rugby. It's been a great start to the season. Won 4 games, Boroughmuir Bears. I don't suppose anybody expected that. It's been a great run of games. So Watsonians Rugby knocked off top spot for the first time this season. They've led since round 1. Of course, they can regain top spot with a victory today. And Ayrshire Bulls, of course, missing out on their game today. A chance to narrow the gap at the top next week. And then down at the bottom, Southern Knights on 5. So Stirling Wolves yet to register on the league table, so an unlikely, you'd have to say, win for them today would perhaps get them up on the level with Southern Knights at the bottom. But Dale Clancy alongside me today, I don't think I'm being unfair to say it's Watsonians very strong favourites in this one. The sides last met in the FOSROC Super 6 Sprint Series finale back in June, and we'll all remember that intercept try by Jason Baggett in injury time, which secured victory for Watsonians 24 points to 21. But current form, and looking at that table, suggests that the contest might be more one-sided today. You do though get the feeling Stirling Wolves must click at some point. There's a good team in there, and Ben Cairns, he said in his pre-match coach comments, he said the beauty of us playing Watsonians is there's no pressure on us. We can go out there, nobody expects us to win, we can just play rugby. Could there be a shock in the cards?
I think that's a coach taking a bit of pressure off his players, because there is pressure on them. They've got no points in the Super 6 so far, but I totally agree that you look at the graphic of the table, and Watsonians are certainly heavy favourites. They're 16 points ahead of the visitors here at the Myreside. But Stirling Wolves are not far away from clicking against Southern Knights when they got beat a couple of weeks ago. Obviously a heavy defeat against Heriot's last weekend. But the Southern Knights game, it was the inaccuracies that cost them. You know, the pass was going to the wing. They were stretching the defence, and then they were knocking the ball on. And Ben Cairns has said they've been accurate at most things apart from these little fine margins, and it's these fine margins in this semi-professional setup that make your team come unstuck. But you know, it's also an interesting game for Watsonians, because on the back of a defeat against Ayrshire Bulls, they'll be wanting to try and get some momentum back into their campaign to, you know, regain top spot, put a bit of pressure back on the Boroughmuir Bears and Ayrshire Bulls this weekend, and get a little bit of gap at the top. So, you know, everybody's got something to play for, but I would argue that there is still pressure on Stirling Wolves to pick up something.
And Watsonians Rugby, you've just mentioned there, they'll be keen to bounce back. But in terms of looking across all the teams in the competition, I think we've probably said before, arguably the most complete team of them all. They can keep it tight. They've got some big abrasive forwards, but they can play an expansive game as well.
Yeah, I think they've got a good blend. When the teams come up, I think the fact that they can reshuffle their deck, the back row for this fixture is probably a little bit more. You know, it's got a little bit more flair than the usual grunt that they have. You know, they can mix that when they're playing the teams like Bulls. They can go all out. They can go with a really powerful, dynamic back row. But for this one, they seem to have a few more ball players in it, and I think that's testament to what Fergus Pringle and Nicky Walker are doing at Myreside. They're good, knowledgeable rugby people, and they've instilled a really good brand of rugby.
We'll see the guard of honour awaiting the two teams coming out of the tunnel here at Myreside. So let's take the chance to look through the two squads this afternoon. So first up, the home side. So two changes in the pack and both in the back row. Seb Cecil returns on the blindside flank after he was a late withdrawal last week, and he has a new partner in the back row in the shape of Campbell Wilson. No Carol Main today. Harrison Courtney starts in jersey number 1, and he was on the bench for Edinburgh last night in their pre-season game against London Scottish, as was Quagga van Nieuwkerk, who will come off the bench at some point this afternoon. In the back line, just the 2 changes, both at half-back. Murray Scott comes in at 9, and he will partner his captain Lee Miller, who starts at fly half. And then the visitors, Stirling Wolves. Ben Cairns would be very happy to turn out an unchanged pack. Adam Sinclair, who made his first appearance last week, certainly added bulk to their second row. Look out for him this afternoon, and as always, the ball carrying abilities of Benedict Grant at number 8. Likewise, changes in the back line for Stirling Wolves. Gregor Christie, whose brother played 30 minutes for the All Blacks this morning, he comes back into the side at 9. Partner Ewan Cunningham. Marcus Holden again switches from fullback into the number 12 jersey, swaps places with Craig Robertson, who drops to fullback, and their injury woes are well documented. They've had to bring in 2 permit players again this week. Kieran Clark, borrowed from the Southern Knights in the 14 jersey, and on the bench Struan Sesford from Heriots. Good to see John McKenna back in Stirling colours, back from injury. So Dale, looking through the 2 sides, who do you expect us to be commenting on today?
I think it's somebody we've perhaps glossed over slightly is Lee Miller, because he's returning at fly half for Watsonians, and he brings a lot of leadership, he brings a lot of game management and experience to that Watsonians team, and it's probably just exactly what they need after the defeat to Ayrshire Bulls. And then obviously on the other side as well, Ewan Cunningham, he's been playing very, very well, but sometimes the good work that's done in the forwards and by the halfbacks is sometimes coming unstuck for Stirling out wide, missing the likes of Logan Trotter as well from the starting lineup. It gives Ben Cairns a little chance to try and freshen things up, so I certainly think the return of Lee Miller replacing Jason Baggett is going to be a very interesting call, because he's a bit of a talisman for Watsonians.
I say the Wolves with an unchanged pack, which certainly helps, but the flip side of that, bringing in permit players, Kieran Clark on the wing and Struan Sesford, who will no doubt appear from the bench at some point. It must be quite hard in the space of a week to integrate them into your game plan.
Yeah, but then I think that's all part of the development as well. These players have to come in and be professional. They have to adapt and play their part as a player. They're coming in to do a job, and that's what it's like at this level. You're not just coming in to play rugby because you really, really enjoy it. You're wanting to make a career of it, and the likes, especially Kieran Clark, who set the heather alight as a young 17, 18-year-old, a couple of years on, been niggled with injuries. Maybe this is something that will take a bit of pressure off. He's probably one of those players that Ben Cairns speaking about. There's no pressure on him really, because he's going to play for another team. He gets a chance to perform. If the ball comes to his hands, he's going to have to try and light up this crowd and hopefully put Stirling Wolves on the front foot. But it's a job, it's the profession, it's making sure that you go in and you play your role, and I think it's good for the Super 6 that the teams are able to do that, because it means that we've got constant big squads of top quality players playing week in, week out.
So out come the visitors first, the Stirling Wolves, led by their co-captain Marcus Holden, shares captaincy duties with Connor Grant. The New Zealander plays in the open side flank, a real workhorse in the Wolves pack. Second game in a row on the road, having started the season with 3 home games, unable to pick up a win in any of them. Well, Watsonians will be glad to be back home. They've only had 1 out of their opening 4 games at Myreside, and here they come, led by their captain Lee Miller. To his left, as we look at the screen there, Vice Captain Carl Davis. He has been exceptional.
Yeah, I remember watching him last season, and he seems to get better and better year in, year out. He went through, I think it was 3 games in a row, he got player of the match, and he's adapted to this Super 6 platform really, really well. And Vice Captain got a lot of leadership there as well, but his performances have been excellent.
Referee Johnny Perriam,
How's your day going, right? Yeah.
assisted today by David Sutherland and Grant Stephen.
Marcus, you ready? You ready? Yeah. Okay.
It will be the Watsonians captain Lee Miller to ignite this game here at Myreside. Round 5 of the FOSROC Super 6. Taken well there by Gregor Christie. And charging onto that one. Out it goes to Sinclair. Dips the shoulder, but he's driven back in the tackle by Watsonians. Christie puts boot to ball, sends that one high and long, so plenty of time at the back for Dom Coetzer, the South African. He weaves his way through the first couple of tackles. Taken down by George Breeze, out it goes to Davis. And the ball pulled out the back door quickly to captain Lee Miller. And Watsonians put boot to ball, lovely ball threaded through there. I think the appeal was for a 50-22, but you could hear the referee saying the ball had been taken back into the Watsonians half, so it will be a Stirling Wolves throw-in. Yeah,
and I think it was Joe Reynolds who eventually got the boot onto the ball there, but you can just see the way that they mix it up, and that's the beauty of that, is the fact they've got two really good playmakers, Lee Miller in there at fly half and Joe Reynolds at 12. They can mix it up really, really well, and you can see that they were, the Stirling defence was held up pretty well, and Reynolds just notices the danger and stabs it in behind.
So Stirling under pressure with the line out close to their own line. Hiddleston didn't find his man, but he came around and tidied up. So it's still Wolves in possession. Christie just looking for forwards, just to set up a position slightly wider, make the kicking angle easier. And again, Christie just looking for support. Looks a little bit uncertain here. Calls in Hamish Ferguson just for a bit of protection, which charged down though. This could bounce into Watsonians' hands. It beats everybody and runs into touch, but Stirling, it's not for the first time we've said this, they play with fire very close to their own line. Yeah, they just, there was no protection there at all, as I think they're trying to exchange numbers here as they on the pitch, and I wouldn't even want to mess with Benedict Grant, but the there's absolutely no protection. Now, that's a little bit of frustration, because Watsonians good game management, and you can see here there's little to no protection. They're asking for, Christie's asking for the big second rows just to give them a little bit of protection, but it is never set up. And the Watsonians guards just, they're aware of what's going to happen. It's so obvious, and they managed to get the charge down and keep the pressure on. If there's two bigger nuisances in the Super 6 than Seb Cecil and Lewis Ball, I'm not sure where they are, but Stirling Wolves tidier from the line out this time, and it's in the hands of Hiddleston. And Christie is his second attempt, clears his lines, however that stays infield. Guthrie feeds it back into Coetzer, a little juggle there, and then Loman McPherson comes off his wing, charges into the Wolves 22. Hiddleston tries to get hands on that. Great work there by the Stirling Wolves hooker, because that was looking dangerous. Great injection of pace from Loman McPherson. Yeah, it was a great break. You can see just Coetzer does well to keep the ball in his hands, because it's slippy conditions out there, and it's a great line just on the shoulder, hits the gap really well. And you can see there Hiddleston makes the tackle up quickly, releases the player, and he suffocates that ball, and that is great work over the ball from the hooker. Dynamic play, and it's but Watsonians now keeping the pressure on. Yes, didn't find touch with the kick, and Angus Guthrie brings it back, rolls, gets back to his feet, makes another 2 or 3 metres. Murray Scott at scrum half this afternoon. Again, out it goes to Lewis Ball. Scott has a look to his left, but comes to his right. He's got Harrison Courtney with him. Tackled by Hiddleston in the green headgear. Around the corner come the forwards. Jamie Beresford this time. 3 tries in the last 2 games for the big lock. Neil Irvin Hess with the carry. And ball just dropped off to Loman McPherson again, looking for work close to the breakdown. And Lewis Berg, Mr. Consistent, and that Watsonians number 13 jersey, not missed a game this season. Out it goes to that left flank. And Dom Coetzer lost control of that. Referee says the ball was ripped, so no knock on. And it's Wolves again. And Gregor Christie, it's not in fact Christie, it's Craig Robertson tidying up very close to his own try line. Yeah, you just see that Watsonians are just a little bit more alert. You can see there the ball squirts out, and it's just a boot to ball from Angus Guthrie, and just wants to try and make it a foot race, and Robertson's having to work hard to get back into the defensive line, scoop up that ball, but he's got no option other than to just ride the tackle, take it in a touch, and Watsonians will be licking their lips at the prospect of an attacking maul. Robertson, who played inside centre last week, but he switched with his captain Marcus Holden. And it comes taken by Lewis Ball, in the middle of the line out. It's fed its way back to Carl Davis, the vice captain. It's a good drive here by Watsonians. Davis controlling things. When will he break away? He gets himself over the line. First try for Watsonians. And Carl Davis, the vice captain and the hooker, the man to profit from a good driving line out.
Yeah, we see it time and time and time again. When they hit the line out, they set up that driving maul. And Watsonians aren't the only team. We see this in rugby all over the globe, but it's done so effectively at Myreside. And he is one of the best in Super 6 because he's still part of the maul. He's still contributing to the drive, but he's so alert to where the gaps are. And if you look at his highlight reel in terms of tries from 5 metres out, he cranes his neck to see the space and just manages just to dart over. And it's so hard to defend when you get in that position. But we talked him up before the game, and that's the sort of impact he has.
And it's not always an easy decision to make. Ideally, he would have just stayed on the back of the maul there, and they would have driven him over the line. But it was turning and crabbing across the left. They had a decision to make and to break off, and there's always still work to be done then. But as you say, he's very, very good at it. It'll be Lee Miller, the captain, looking to add the extras. And up go the flags. That's Watsonians 7, Stirling Wolves 0 after only 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think any real question marks over Lee Miller's fitness, I think, were answered the other weekend at Craig Borthwick's wedding, because his heat map on the dance floor was very impressive. So he's certainly shown no ill effects of dancing all night at his ex-teammate's wedding.
Well, we'll see if he lasts 80 minutes.
I know.
Watsonians in possession then from the restart. Carl Davis, the try scorer. Darts into contact.
No, it's 5.
It'll be Murray Scott to take on the kicking duties himself here. Sends a fairly flat ball over the top. That should be fairly easy to deal with at the back. Picked up by the big man, Benedict Grant. And Craig Robertson. In goes Christie through the hands of Marcus Holden, but the referee was playing advantage there, so not the best of work by the Stirling Wolves backline, and that hands Watsonians Rugby a scrum.
This is exactly what has handicapped Stirling Wolves all Super 6 campaign. They managed to set up a good platform. Benedict Grant does well. He carries the ball in, they get there in numbers, they secure the ball, a couple of easy passes, and Cunningham's got no pressure on him, and he knocks on the ball and just coughs up cheap possession, and that is the thing that Ben Cairns keeps mentioning, and he'll be pulling his hair out because they've done it again.
We've not mentioned the conditions. It's drier than it was expected to be in the forecast, but it has been raining, so the ground and the ball will be slippery. It's probably slightly breezier than the flags would suggest, but Watsonians, great charge onto that by Coetzer. Forwards wrapping round the corner, but instead it goes out to the back. It's a little bit untidy, but Lowen McPherson looking for work away on the opposite wing, and Stirling Wolves trying to hold him up. The referee eventually tells the Wolves tackle's been made. He's got his knees to deck. Ball released there. Van Hess comes round the corner, and Cecil Miller through behind the forwards. Good work there by Watsonians backline. Lewis Burgess straightens, almost fights his way at the tackle of Hiddleston. And go Courtney and Lewis Ball to win that one back for Watsonians. Nice little inside ball again to Lowen McPherson. He's popping up all over the park in the opening 8 minutes here at Myreside. The referee playing a penalty advantage. Joe Reynolds now in possession for Watsonians. Offloads to Cecil. An untidy offload, but still possession with Watsonians. Carl Davis again. Dummy thrown by Murray Scott. I thought there was a gap there, but that door was closed very quickly. However, the Wolves offside, and a penalty to Watsonians right out in front of the posts.
Yeah, and just that's, the Watsonians have been blessed with, a lot of quality players all over the field, and I think that their 9 obviously is highlighting that. Murray Scott coming in for Rory Brand. They just keep the tempo up. They keep the point of contact moving. They move the defensive line, and that makes things like you mentioned Loman McPherson working hard off his wing. He's working hard because the spaces are being created for him, and all he has to do is pick the right one. And he's came off his wing on a couple of occasions, looking to exploit those gaps, and that is purely down to tempo and work rate from everybody else in the team.
He's got such good footwork, Loman McPherson, as well. He only needs half a gap. Very quick into his acceleration. Penalty right out in front, so too tempting for Lee Millar. Opted to kick for posts. This should be a fairly regulation kick. An excellent kick, and up go the flags. And Lee Millar and Watsonians Rugby extend the lead out
we'll
to
see if he
10.
comes back by the kick. If he doesn't, we'll stop.
You know, it's been a good reaction from Watsonians after the defeat against, the other week against Ayrshire Bulls, and it's exactly what the coaching staff would have wanted. 10 minutes on the clock, they've got 10 points on the board. You know, they put a bit of pressure on the opposition, and they look comfortable to an extent, but you know, they're accurate, and I think that's the main thing. So it's been a good reaction.
So Stirling need to get themselves into this game. Ewan Cunningham. The restart again deep into Watsonians territory. But they don't mess about the home side, just thump that ball back up the stand side touchline. That's an excellent kick, finds a touch just inside the Wolves half.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to do. You know, that's textbook rugby. Score some points, receive the ball, clear your lines, no mistakes, good territory gain, and again, you know, Lee Millar at the heart of all.
And in contrast, 5 or 6 minutes ago, Stirling Wolves going through phases very close to their try line. That ball doesn't look very straight, and it's been snapped up anyway by Carl Davis, Watsonians vice captain. So Scott back in action again, and Millar out behind the forwards to Berg. You don't see him kicking very often. He sent that one down into the 22. Didn't quite get the bounce. And Craig Robertson tidies that one up at the back. However, it will be a goal line dropout. That previously would have been a 22 dropout. Never sure that's quite so fair on the defending side there, but it will be a goal line dropout.
Yeah, I think it almost it does encourage attack and play, and I think from Lewis Berg's point of view, that's a good kick, because you know you're forcing them to kick into the wind as well. It's a really strong wind here at Myreside, and you know that goal line dropout has to be low, has to punch into the wind, and now Reynolds has it in hand.
Reynolds feeds Guthrie. And Watsonians quickly back from a halfway into Stirling Wolves 22. It's just non-stop from the home side. Up to now, Lee Millar again. He had options both sides. He's picked his man perfectly. Campbell Wilson, fresh into the back row this week. He had two options. He had Carl Davis and Campbell Wilson. And Millar picked his pass perfectly. And Watsonians are under the posts.
Yeah, he said it was relentless before, and it was just a matter of time, and you can see everybody knows what their job is. The pack comes round the corner, they go on a pod of three, Lee Millar gets round, and they've got another couple of runners there, and Campbell Wilson's line is excellent. He goes into out, he arcs his run underneath the posts, and the only bad bit about that is he's got a popped collar, which I think is a little bit of a fashion faux pas, but it was a good line, great line from the back row, and it just shows the strength and depth again that this Watsonians team have, but they all know exactly what their job role is to do.
Yes, you could see Carl Davis there, and there were two options. Stirling Wolves defence weren't sure which man to pick, and left a gaping hole for Campbell Wilson to go through, and Lee Millar makes no mistakes, adds the extras from right out in front.
Yeah, just ticking over the scoreboard now, 17 points after 13 minutes. You know, we did say before that there was no pressure on Stirling Wolves, but I don't know how that still rings true, because if anything, this is putting a lot more pressure. They're the only team in the Super 6 with no points, even a bonus point so far in this campaign, so there is a lot of pressure on this young squad.
Confidence would be low anyway. It'll certainly be lower now, trailing by 17 points to 0. And to, as we've said, week after week, get the hands into their big players. Well, there's one of them, Benedict Grant. Excellent last week, goes through a couple of tackles there and takes play back into the Watsonians half. Cleared by Christie. It's Hamish Ferguson fighting his way forward. Slow ball. The ball, I think, was touched by one of the Watsonians players. Coutser is under this and defuses that nicely. Again, evades the first couple of tackles. It's been another failing of Stirling Wolves, who's falling off tackles, and out it goes to Guthrie. Big strong winger, does well to stay infield. Scott again, quickly on hand, out to Cecil, back into the side this week. That ball's been dropped, didn't go forward, so snapped up by Lee Millar, the captain. Scott again through between the forwards, and Lewis Berg from almost identical position kicks once again, and I think we'll get a similar outcome. Well, no, Change of plan for Craig Robertson here. Decides he doesn't want another goal line dropout. Goes to his left foot and sends that one long, but stays in field. So Loman McPherson back inside to Joe Reynolds. Has a look outside, straightens. Thought about flicking that ball out the back door. Huddleston come in to try and win that. Has been won, in fact, by Wolves. And again, they go to the boot, but on the Kenny ground. It was Craig Robertson, the kicker there, regathered himself. I think saved probably an offside penalty. Christie again looking for options, back to Cunningham, and just sends that one long. That's a good kick actually into the Watsonians half. Wolves under pressure, but Cunningham getting them a little bit territory with that long kick up the stand side.
Yeah, that's what Cunningham's good at. He's good at controlling a game with his boot. You know, he's good at seeing where the space is and trying to get his team in the right area. It's just a shame that a lot of the other the times when they're in the right area, they're just not being accurate enough. And you know, that's just that just highlights what Stirling Wolves' campaign has been like. But you know, a little bit more promising there. The ball was kicked back by Lewis Berg, and Stirling Wolves looking to, you know, do something a little bit different instead of just go through the motions, take the goal line dropout. So certainly looking to try things.
Off the top from Beresford. So he just crashed that one up and then take it back down the blind side. Joe Reynolds involved there. Ball's gone loose again, once again snapped up by Beresford. Out to Davis, pulls the ball out the back door to his inside centre, Joe Reynolds.
Outside 22.
And we see week after week, he's such a clever player, the New Zealander, inside centre for Watsonians. That's a great kick.
I think that's a team move there. I think that's brilliant. They come round the corner, you can see they're set up in their pod of three. Cal Davis was the man acting as the pivot, and so they're coming from left to right. He passes back deep into the pocket. The defence are naturally going to drift, your winger's going to come round, and Joe Reynolds then kicks it back against the grain. And I think that's, you know, that's a scripted attacking kick there from Watsonians, and it was really well executed.
So Hiddleston again finds himself under pressure and can't find his man. Harrison Courtney couldn't quite tidy that one up, and it's been stolen by Gregor Hiddleston. All action hooker for Stirling Wolves. Takes play up to the Wolves 10-metre line, stand side of the pitch. Into Sinclair, again drives low into contact. Makes 2 or 3 metres. Christie calling in some protection, so he'll take on the kick himself. He's already had one charge down, doesn't want to risk that again. Taken well by Guthrie, and the Wolves can't get him down. However, Christie on hand drives him into touch there. Good work by the scrum half.
Yeah, a good kick there from the, you know, it was a kick chase makes, you know what it's like, a kick chase makes a bad kick look pretty good, and you can see there the kick chase was there, but Kieran Clark just couldn't grab his man. And Christie was there, fortunately for young Kieran Clark. He was there just to cover up, because if Guthrie got a bit ahead of steam, he could have been tracking way up the tram lines and going in for another dot.
On the AR, please, guys.
And quickly from Hiddleston. Now the Wolves get their maul set up. Watsonians tried to drive that towards touch. Seb Cecil in there making absolute nuisance of himself, as he always does, and wins the turnover for his side. Yeah,
he's been phenomenal for Watsonians over the last couple of campaigns. In terms of the sprint series, I think he was almost one of the standout players in that campaign, and you know, he just does that so well. I remember a game in the sprint series and we were on about attacking mauls, and he defended it. He came through, he managed just to swarm round the ball, and he just seems to get himself in the right position. And you know, for a back row player, he's got height, he's got power, he's got pace, you know, and he's an intelligent rugby player as well. It's not all just grunt, he's got a bit of guile about that as well, so he's certainly been a good asset for Watsonians.
In the English Championship with Nottingham, he was their Young Player of the Year season 1920. Really is a very good back row forward. Power of work. Wheeler Van Hest picks up, goes across field, straightens. Does well driving through the contact there, and quick ball for Scott. Wolves have to dive out the way as it goes back, and Watsonians again looking to put boot to ball and just force the Wolves back.
Well done.
Miller, who just dropped back, takes that one again and sends it long. Robertson at the back, and Benedict Grant there just stepped off his left foot. Just about bamboozled himself, and Craig Jardine getting involved in the action. I think for the first time Hiddleston had to wait on that one coming to him and always step back, but gets some go forward now. Christie in again, and they'll be appealing for a penalty there. I think that was
he's in that channel.
Bobby Bratton.
Yeah.
Slow in getting back there.
Channel.
The referee just explained to him there that he was in the way, he was in the passing channel, and although he was just trying to get back on side there, that was a penalty.
Yeah, and the discipline's been pretty good from, you would say, both sides actually. It's been, you know, the balls on the floor have been contested fairly. There's not been a lot of penalties so far in this game. I think discipline has been pretty fair, but the referee Johnny Perry, I'm just noticing that there was an infringement there, but again inaccuracy from the penalty kick there, kick back, pan back in field as well, but yeah, Watsonians escaped there.
Wolves with it again.
Yeah, good, hold.
Jardine just kicks that long, trying to force Watsonians back. And this time Watsonians go to touch, but Benedict Grant throws this to himself. Charges forward, dealt with well by a combination of Davis and Irvin Hess. Again, Christie putting boot to ball, that'll land just outside the 22. Joe Reynolds, the man back there, that's not a great kick.
Yeah, well done, guys.
Irvin Hess realised he was offside, and good work there by Cameron McMillan. I'm not sure he intended to find Gregor Christie, but Christie did well. He's lost that ball, however. Hiddleston still in possession. Referee says no knock on. The first real opportunity for Stirling Wolves so far in the match.
So that scrum before, was I not on the move? I think it was a good strip.
It's always nice to see a scrum half helping officiate the game. I think it's a common theme among scrum halves, obviously getting in the referee's ear, but it was good to see Stirling get a little bit of head of steam there, a little bit of continuity in their play, and you know, those balls and those offloads and those runs just looked a little bit more cohesive there from Stirling Wolves, so they were able to, you know, really take the game towards Watsonians.
Just hold that gap, don't come in, hold the gap. Yeah.
Yes, you can see, is that Beresford? Oh no, it's trying to see the number on the
it was
back there. Was it
Beresford,
Beresford? I think they just come in the side there, but just a lack of precision from Stirling Wolves. They get themselves a chance for the first time inside the Watsonians 22, and then untidy at the breakdown. You see Christie desperately trying to get his forwards dragged up onto their feet and back into the defensive line. Watsonians threaten to play out of their 22, just through the hands out to that left wing, and away goes Kutzar. Chips over the top, looking for the bounce here, can't quite gather that. However, has been picked up by Guthrie, so still with Watsonians, just on their own side of halfway. Scott again, and then charging onto it goes Cecil. Tried to get the arm free, thought about an offload, and once again they go back to the blind side. And again it's that left foot of Reynolds who forces Stirling Wolves back, bounces into touch. Great play there from Watsonians from their own goal line, and find themselves now 10 metres or so from that Wolves try line.
Yeah, and that just all comes back to the fact that Stirling Wolves were inaccurate at their own set piece, and it is, you know, I'm almost boring myself saying it that much, but you know, it's part of what has become, you know, Stirling Wolves this Super 6 campaign. They've not been accurate when they need to be. They string together a couple of good phases, get into good positions, and then they're inaccurate at the set piece, or they're inaccurate with that last pass, and then it allows Watsonians, because Stirling Wolves are then scrambling to get their defensive shape, it allows them to stretch the ball and go wide, and you know, again, good kick and play from Joe Reynolds as well, just to pin Stirling Wolves back.
Hiddleston finds Sinclair in the middle of the Wolves line out, and they break away through Gordon. Again, a good position here for a kick. That's what they opt to do. Back it goes to Cunningham. Again, catches that nicely, sends a long kick up that stand side touchline.
That's a little bit better. You know, sometimes you've got to be boring. You need to just play, you know, boring, structured rugby, and they hit their line out there. They set it up. They go around the corner, and then they hit it to their kicker, who can kick downfield. So it's just they've almost weathered the storm, because they've conceded 17 points early on, and then they've been able to then, you know, not allow Watsonians to attack too much. They've had a little bit of pressure themselves, Stirling Wolves, but you know, they'll welcome this break to have a little chat amongst each other and then see how they can turn this tide, because before half time they need scores on the board, be that 3 points, 5 or 7, they need something on the board.
Classic. If anything's really important, shout.
And that's again where they need a clinical edge. They won't get a lot of chances against Watsonians, and if you flip that, Watsonians, you get 2 or 3 chances, you generally get at least 2 tries from that, whereas Stirling Wolves, they had that opportunity with the line out very close to that Watsonians line, and you know, the mistake was made before they ever got hands on ball. Yeah,
and then they're big players, Stirling Wolves big players. If I, off the top of my head, if you think Gordon, Grant and Holden, they're doing too much. They're not being allowed to do what they do well. Grant's having to carry a lot, but he's not being able to carry in the right areas. He's chucking the ball at himself on a line out and then trying to carry and be a world beater. He's not allowed to, you know, barge into the spaces that somebody's made for him. And you know, it's just that dynamic now, and they've been suffering from injuries, but you know, it's difficult when it's the going's against you.
Davis to Beresford once again, common theme in that line out. Scott out to Davis, and again pulls the ball back to his captain. That's good play by that Watsonians backline. Coutser, he's got Loman McPherson with him, may not need him, dragged down by Benedict Grant in the 22. Great work by the number 8, however throws a wild pass, went forward. So the referee was playing an advantage, but that was dangerous for a moment. Dom Coutser and Loman McPherson looking to combine inside that Wolves 22, and the Wolves rescued by the number 8 Benedict Grant.
Yeah, Coates are caught in 2 minds. It's hard to criticise, because I don't think I'd be able to fit between that gap in the defence. But you know, he's caught in 2 minds, and he's got the support. Great defensive play from Robertson and Grant, because they actually make Coates' mind up for him. They say you're going to have to go. You know, Robertson does well to ghost that line and just drag him across, and Grant did well to cover as well. So good defence from Stirling Wolves, because it looked dangerous and it looked like McPherson could have went in for a score.
Crouch.
Yes, I think we gave credit to Grant there, but as you say, Craig Robertson just got his body position right and forced Coutser's hand. And a penalty here from the scrum for Stirling Wolves, and that will make their exit easier.
Yeah, you can see Christie there just praising the forwards, and they'll get a penalty here. You know, they get to clear their lines and putting a little bit of pressure on, and you can see it just dropping on that far side. It's not a clean scrum there. A bit of pressure on that front row for Watsonians and Stirling. You know, starting to, you know, the luck's starting to go their way with some of these decisions, but you know, luck will only take you so far. You need to be accurate. You need to make sure that you play rugby in the right areas, and that's their next step here.
Yes, they need to get themselves on the scoreboard. Currently penned back in their own half. It will be a Stirling Wolves throw into the line out. 26 minutes played here at Myreside. Watsonians 17, Stirling Wolves 0. Hiddleston tries to find Sinclair under pressure at the front, but did get the ball back in a fashion. And Benedict Grant carries into contact midfield. The Wolves forwards coming around the corner, led by Gregor Hiddleston. Christie again, and out to Holden. And just kicked through by Stirling Wolves. And they do get a bit of luck. Like we said, they needed Loman McPherson, and characteristically for him, knocks that ball on.
Yeah, it's a big error there from McPherson, just trying to grasp the ball and snatch it when it was bobbling about on the ground. But you know, come back to the Stirling's play. They're using Benedict Grant off Holden. You know, he doesn't make too many yards, so they come back the other way, and then they use him as a dummy runner and then kick, because they've not made any grounds and they're being forced to kick from the Watsonians' defensive pressure. You know, I would be looking to try and use Benedict Grant on second, third phase ball, just maybe even a little bit further out, because you know, that's when he's going to be making the damage, not running into the 3 back rows of Watsonians. He needs to be looking at, you know, getting to Berg and getting outside in those wider channels to the likes of Reynolds and Berg and McPherson as well when he comes up into the line.
That ball caught in the feet of the Stirling Wolves pack as the pressure comes on from Watsonians, and Grant has to tidy that one up. Driven back by Murray Scott. Christie to Sinclair. Just another collapses into contact there. Does get the ball back on the Wolves 10-metre line. Christie again will go to the skies. Gets good height on that one. Chase not quite there as McPherson came off his wing. And stays on his feet for long enough for the support to get there, and Scott on hand quickly again. And that educated left boot of Joe Reynolds just forces the Wolves back. Can't be taken cleanly at the back by Craig Robertson.
He was always in. Always in.
And off his left foot from inside his 22.
Right. Always in.
Finds
always
a touch,
in.
and again that's a good
long
kick from the Wolves fullback. They'll line it now to Watsonians inside their half.
Yeah, a good play from the fullback to when he gets the ball. He's looking up, looking at his options, and puts maximum effort into that kick to get as much ground as possible. You know, these conditions are challenging. You can see the flag's actually been held down by the assistant referee there, but there is a really strong wind across this pitch at Myreside, so that is an impressive kick in these conditions because the wind is swirling.
Well, Davis could not find Beresford on this occasion, so the Wolves growing into the game. Out to Holden, and attack down that left flank. Alex Tom evades the first tackle, and now up to that Watsonians 10-metre line. Hiddleston again, he is just absolutely tireless. Out into the midfield, they play around that Watsonians 10-metre line, and off their feet. I think Hamish Ferguson, the guilty party there, and a penalty to Watsonians.
Yeah, see, the Stirling Wolves have support there, but you can see just when he gets caught on the ground, they're very, very quick. It was Harrison Courtney who was very quick to get his hands on the ball, which meant that he actually rolled the attacking player. So no matter what happened, you could have had 15 guys there. You're not going to be getting that ball back. As soon as a player's on his back, he's in the most vulnerable position when he's got the ball on the ground. So it was a good play on the floor from Harrison Courtney for the big front row.
The Watsonians, if they'll be disappointed at anything, it's that they led 17-0 after 12 minutes and haven't scored in the following 18. Here's an opportunity for them though, as Irvin Hess crashes into the 22. And then loose ball. Scott in behind Davis to Miller. Berg out to Coetzer. Finds Loman McPherson, skips inside. And McPherson had no right to score that, but he's gone over it in the corner for Watsonians. Great play by the right wing.
%100% right there, Bruce. He absolutely had no right to score that, and it's as simple as you like. Good accurate hands. Coetzer draws the player, and McPherson already is bouncing back in field and bounces straight back out. It's a really weak tackle from Alex Tom, to be honest, because he's went really high, and it's just a really strong fend from McPherson. Keeps his arm nice and stiff right into the chest of Tom, but you can see here he's already coming back inside. He bounces off, and just a big fend out, slips the tackle in the corner.
Yes, both Alex Tom and Craig Robertson on hand for Stirling Wolves. We've already mentioned the footwork of Loman McPherson. Well, it was on display there at its very best. Stepped off his right foot and then off his left. Deceptively strong as well. And that's a great try for Watsonians. Lee Miller now looking to add the extras from out wide on the right. Miller taking his time over this one, and again catches that nicely, just curls it through the uprights. As Dale said, it's windy here at Myreside. Lee Miller up to the task there, and he's not yet missed from the tee.
Yeah, he called Lewis Berg Mr. Consistent. I think Lee Miller can probably, claim that title as well, because in games where they're comfortable, in games where it's tight, that's what he gives you. He gives you those extra points from the tee. And when we're just talking about Stirling Wolves and perhaps being the masters of their own downfall, they then compound misery with another mistake. They kick out in the full from the restart, and it's. He did say before that Watsonians would be disappointed they hadn't scored since the kind of 17-minute mark. They then score, and then Stirling Wolves, they make a critical error to give the scrum here.
It's a centre field scrum for Watsonians. The options both ways. Irvin Hess at the base. He's still out injured.
Set!
Pressure on from Wolves. And Murray Scott dummied round to the right, and Irvin Hess went to the left. That ball kicked through, and Dom Coutser looking for a bounce here, doesn't get it, and the ball beats everybody again into touch.
The nice thing here is that the Watsonians are in a comfortable position with 6 minutes to half time. They're allowed to try things. You know, they can kind of throw caution at the wind, and they do have Stirling Wolves in the ropes. It's not like, you know, they've been made to work hard for their 24 points. They've struck off first phase ball, or they've went into the wide channels, and you know, it's been 1-on-1 errors. But it gives Watsonians an opportunity to perhaps try things, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we perhaps seen a couple of replacements, you know, at half time, you know, just to get some rugby into the legs of the guys.
Callum Cruikshank takes that in the line out for Wolves, and Benedict Grant through the tackle of Cecil. Takes play well outside the 22, and then Christie back to his half-back partner, Cunningham. Hopes to keep this one infield, taken by Guthrie on his 10-metre line. Against dancing feet from the winger, finds Berg, fights to stay infield, shows his strength. However, good work by Christie, drags him very close to that touchline, and then the job finished off by Kieran Clark. The winger on loan from the Southern Knights comes piling in and forces Watsonians into touch, and it will be a Wolves line out.
I think you can see a little bit of the difference, you know, in initial contact. I think the Watsonians, you know, to a man, just look a little bit more dynamic. The likes of Berg, the likes of Guthrie, when they're, you know, the backs I'm talking about here as well. You know, when they're going into contact, they just look a little bit sharper than their opponents, and they're able to then win that half yard or be able to fend themselves out of a contact situation to get the offload in. So, you know, they do have the upper hand in there, and it's probably, you know, a point that signals towards the 24-point advantage. I just feel like they're a little bit more, you know, conditioned than the Wolves players.
Break and play for some treatment here to Connor Grant.
Yeah, they have to come there. We'll only have one.
Shares the captaincy duties with Marcus Holden. Two New Zealanders. Gordon played for Bay of Plenty for the Canterbury B team. Let's have a Scottish grandparents, a Scottish qualified. And we mentioned that last week actually, that there are very few non-Scottish qualified players right across the Super 6, which is fantastic. Yeah,
and I think it's important. You know, we've for years in the amateur game we've seen, you know, when it was the Premiership, we've seen an influx of, you know, foreign players that have certainly complemented our game. It's helped us a lot in Scotland, you know, getting players from different cultures and you know, different nations with different abilities, you know, coming in and helping, you know, push our country up a level. But it is important that we need to get these young players playing regularly, very competitive rugby, you know, and it's something that the Scottish rugby fans cry out for as well. And it's going to take time for this to really show the benefit. But I think if you look at the Ayrshire Bulls Glasgow Warriors game last night, it does. You couldn't have done that with Edinburgh Accies 5 years ago against Glasgow Warriors. You know, it shows this is a step up in quality. These games are robust, they're quick, and they're really, really physical.
It really was an excellent result for the Ayrshire Bulls last night up at Inverness, taking on Glasgow Warriors in a pre-season friendly.
Hold!
Back in action here at Myreside as we approach the half-time stage, taken by Stirling Wolves in the line out, and again getting the driving maul moving forward from the line out. Christie just picking his moment to break. Has a little snipe himself. Dealt with well by Campbell Wilson. First try scorers for Watsonians. That ball being turned over, and Coutser again accelerates into space. He's been good returning the ball from fullback today for Watsonians. Ball flicked out the back door there by Lee Miller. Scott there, and he's got Reynolds on hand. And in goes the inside centre. Outstanding play once again by that Watsonians backline. And Joe Reynolds, the try scorer.
That comes from attacking rugby, getting the ball in the right area, but that offload from Lee Miller is exceptional. There's loads of great work round about that from Watsonians. You know, getting the ball when they turn it over from the rip. Lee Miller looks to get the ball wide. He gets the ball wide into the space. Coutser has a little go. The ball is then presented and ready to just pick up. Lee Miller takes it, goes forward, and manages to get the ball somehow out of contact, and then it's a simple 2-on-1 after that, and then Lee Miller gets to add the extras. Excellent play from Watsonians.
Another look at it here, and you can see the strength of Lee Miller there. I mean, that's your fly half. He's got Benedict Grant all over him there, and still manages to get his right hand free and flick that ball out. You couldn't even see where he was throwing it. He knew where the support was. Brilliant play.
Close enough.
But from the steal, he started that. He's got the ball wide. He was the first receiver there, gets the ball wide, and then he's the first supporter to that breakdown. And that is exceptional work rate from the fly half.
So that's the bonus point try for Watsonians. Not quite at half-time yet. And Dale, as you say, that's essentially job done. And we may well see some changes at half-time for Watsonians. And actually, if you're Stirling Wolves, you maybe should just roll the dice as well and bring on your bench.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how both teams approach this game, but you know, it does give Watsonians. It sometimes, you know, some players like to stay on the whole game. Sometimes that's what coaches identify as best for them. Like say Cal Davis, you know, he's a big game player. He likes to play a lot of minutes, but you may want to see like Sir Ryan Daly, bring Loma McPherson off, maybe protect him slightly. But there's certainly, you know, big squads for both teams to utilise here.
So Wolves back on their 10-metre line, taken in by Cruikshank.
Play on, straight through. Play on.
Through comes Harrison Courtney there. Still Stirling in possession. Christie once again finds himself at the back of a breakdown, having to put boot to ball.
Play on.
And Guthrie, the whole back three for Watsonians have been exceptional under the high ball. Not a huge amount of pressure on them, to be fair. Carl Davis out to his captain again as they look to go wide. Dom Coutser now shows that he has dancing feet to match his wingers as he takes play up towards halfway. Back it comes quickly for Scott, the option of the forwards, but Watsonians now enjoying themselves, looking to get the ball into the wide channels. Guthrie couldn't quite find his man.
Well done.
Joe Reynolds just sends that ball down the stand side touchline. And Robertson tackled as he looked to bring the ball back.
No.
Deep in his own territory.
No, I'll tell you, not yet.
Christie out to Sinclair. And the big lock fights his way forward.
I'll tell you.
Out to Grant. Again, in those tight spaces, Watsonians can deal with him well. With two men in on the tackle. Christie will again be forced to kick. The referee has indicated it's half time, so Christie just kicks out. And the players head into the tunnel.
20 seconds to go, whatever you don't say.
The half-time score.
Just ask. Yeah.
Watsonians 31, Stirling Wolves 0.
Into each other, like. Oh yeah. To be honest, Benny pushed the boy in.
We will have a look at the half-time action
take that if we wanted, you know, so.
in about 5 minutes, but let's take a break from Myreside and enjoy one of our half-time features, because Scotland play Australia, Fiji, New Zealand and Argentina at BT Murrayfield this autumn. And ahead of that exciting lineup of matches, we caught up with Scotland's kit manager, Mark Beals, who provides a unique insight into his role during the tour of Chile and Argentina this summer.
Bealsy, so tell us about your role and how long you've been at Scottish Rugby.
Started here in 2019, just before the World Cup in Japan. Basically kit manager and logistics as well, so making sure that we get everything kind of where we're playing on time, everything's there, making sure it gets from A to B, the day-to-day running of kind of training camps, so up to 45 players, making sure they've got their kit every day, making sure obviously that everything's there for training, from balls, bibs, cones to kind of helping S&C, helping medical and everything that we need to kind of perform at international level. Logistics is my background, so I'm kind of quite organised. I'm a little bit OCD as regarding I like things done the right way. But yeah, no, it was back in 2019 that got a call that the Scotland job was up. I was at Saracens at the time, which was an amazing environment. Learnt a lot there from a lot of good people. But the opportunity to come and work at international level was just too much of a pull for me. So yeah, been up here since 2019. Absolutely love it. Great bunch of boys. Just a good group. You know, there's so many different characters and different kind of people, and And as everybody knows, like with the kit room's kind of like a sacred area. It's some of the boys come in here and kind of just want to sit down and have a chill and a chat and a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and tell me their stories and bits and pieces.
You mic'd up?
Yeah.
Should we dish some dirt?
Dish some dirt. What should we dish some dirt on?
Right,
What
tell
should we
me who your favourite Ferguson on tour is. You can whisper it to me so pretend the camera can't see.
The thing is, I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to say both of you.
Yeah, I hate this.
I love the pair of you.
Pure content.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just one of them.
Okay, right. Who's the biggest culprit for leaving kit and not handing it in? So this will all come out.
This is a very good question, actually, Matthew. Forgetting things.
Yeah, no one would do it on purpose.
No,
make your job hard.
no one would do it on purpose.
But who's forgetful?
Who's forgetful? So most of them are pretty good now because they're like, I don't really have. I'm not being diplomatic, but most of them are actually good. There's not really one that sticks out.
Who's the last person that forgot kit?
Last person that forgot kit. Duane.
Was Dewey?
Yeah.
Did you do it today, did he?
No. He has actually been pretty good.
He's very good at Dewey.
Scott Cummins, he's always the first one.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's
To
good.
bring it down?
Yeah, he's always good.
He's been fined a lot.
Yeah, he's good. Thank you, Jay. See, Jay's one of the good ones. He's straight away. He's in, done, finished. Always. Means a lot, that. No words, Bills. There's no words. Just love. Just love. Match days, we always go 5 hours before kick-off. A lot of people say to me, Billsy, why do you go 5 hours before? Because I've always been taught that it roughly takes around about 2.5, 3 hours to set up a match day from scratch. Because obviously you've got, kind of setting the dressing room up, and it's not only just hanging shirts up and putting shorts and socks down, it's dressing it up, putting nameplates up. Gregor's big on kind of the Scotland environment, so we're putting flags up, we've got banners up, we try and make it as home as much as we can. And then obviously the other departments come in as well, so all the medics have got to sort their strap-ins and their medical beds out, S&C are getting ready for warm-up. So it's quite an intense environment.
In terms of the players, do they have any sort of individual quirks and anything that you need to do in particular with their kit, or do they like certain things before games? Or
every player is different. A lot of the players now kind of are in their routines. Hamish always likes a second towel because he kind of concentrates and he sits there and he focuses on the game, and he always has kind of a towel over his lap and that, which is kind of one of his routines. Some players, very OCD. Hoggy's very OCD. He likes everything clean and tidy and everything, as where you get other players that will come in and just pick it up, throw it on the floor and then just go through their routine. So everyone's different, but normally we set the standard, we try and do it the right way, and that just follows on from game to game.
Welcome back to Myreside. Scotland kit manager Mark Beals there. Let's have a look at the first half action. Carl Davis with the first score.
Yeah, we were speaking about him post-match, and this is what he does best. He parks himself at the base of the mall, he cranes his neck, and he finds where the space is. It's a brave move. It's a brave move to break off from such a protective position in the mall, but he does well, and it was Lee Millar who was able to add the extras as well, and he's had a great game for the boot.
Millar also added a penalty. It was ball popped up off the floor there, but Carl Davis snapped that one up, drives into contact. A little dart there by Scott, and the referee awarded a penalty out in front, and just too tempting for Lee Millar. Kept the scoreboard ticking over. Easiest of kicks for him. And then the second try, you see Lee Millar sliding across there, and he had two options outside him. He had Carl Davis and he had Campbell Wilson. He found Wilson, who went straight through the gap and under the posts. Yeah,
Lee Millar's an exceptional 10, but they make his job look really, really easy, because that angle from Wilson was exceptional. The option there for Davis as well, really good. But you can see all the Watsonians players, they're well drilled this afternoon again. They know their job, they know exactly what they need to do. And Cal Wilson on that occasion just picked the gap and run a great line.
Again, Lee Millar, who has not yet missed from the tee. 11 points for the captain in the first half. And the Watsonians' backs look to get it wide at every opportunity. It was a great individual effort by winger Loman McPherson to finish this one off.
Yeah, we mentioned during the game that Watsonians perhaps look like one of the most well-rounded teams in the Super 6, and we've got 2 tries from the backs, 2 from the forwards, and you can see here they mix it up. They managed to get the ball wide, but Loman McPherson has been very industrious throughout the whole afternoon. He comes off his wing there, he just bounces back in field and back out. Weak defence from Stirling Wolves, but Loman McPherson, he certainly was made to work really, really hard for that.
Trickier conversion for Lee Miller here, but once again made no mistake. And then the bonus point try once again through the hands of the back line. Dom Coetzer diving into contact there and just snapped up by Lee Miller, and 2 men all over him with a tackle, but got the ball out the back door, and it was Joe Reynolds on hand to go round behind the posts. Yeah,
an absolute gorgeous offload from Lee Miller, but we probably won't get the same angle, but he was the man that starts the move. He starts that passage of play from there. So he's passed that ball, it's gone through 3 pairs of hands. Coetzer goes for the dart, and you'll notice here when the ball squirms out, Lee Miller is the first player there. Gets wrapped up in contact, gets that right arm free, and puts in a pinpoint offload into the hands of Coetzer and Reynolds. It's just so direct. They're all going forward, and they're all tracking. They're almost, so linear is the fact that they've got their back to their own try line and they just run straight. And that is what Stirling Wolves have found very, very hard to compete with this afternoon.
And Miller again with the conversion. The half-time score, Watsonians Rugby 31, Stirling Wolves 0. Now Dale, it's I think a stretch of the imagination to suggest that Stirling Wolves will somehow come back and win this one. What do they need to do in this second half just to try and build confidence, something that they can take into the next game?
It's a difficult thing because a lot of teams are sometimes go through these periods and you want to try and pick out that's all they can do. They can only go out and try and win this second half. I feel they're a little bit flat in that first half. They were a bit overwhelmed by the quality of Watsonians, but they need to work on what they want to work on now. They need to make sure that they're accurate, because that is the one thing that is stopping them competing so far in the Super 6 is their accuracy. Their accuracy with the ball in hand and their accuracy at set piece. So they need to make sure they tidy up on that. If they tidy up on that, they can be competitive, but until that happens, it's probably going to be one-way traffic if Watsonians get their tails up.
Because a reminder that it's not quite 3 months ago since they played on this ground against Watsonians and narrowly. In fact, was it Megatland that they played that? It was the finale of the Super 6 Sprint series, but they narrowly lost out with that Jason Baggett intercept in injury time. So obviously very competitive, a great finish to the Sprint series, but something has obviously changed. We've spoken about their injuries in the time between now and then. Second half underway then here at Myreside, and it is the Wolves on attack. Benedict Grant involved in the action early. Christie whips the ball back and the Wolves try and get out into the wide channels, and I think that was Guthrie perhaps stepped in looking to make a tackle and left a bit of a gap out on his wing. Ball pulled back there by Cammy McMillan. A great charge at one point early in the first half. There's been a change at half-back for Stirling Wolves. Looks like Christie has made way for Keir Singleton.
It was a little bit better from Stirling Wolves, however. They come out, show a little bit of endeavour, getting Grant in the right areas to try and bring in that Watsonians defence so they can try and pluck them off out wide. Just the defence managed to get across from Watsonians, but it's not going to happen every time. You need to be consistent. You need to keep knocking at the door, and a bit more endeavour there from Stirling Wolves.
Picked up by Grant, and it is still Christie on the field there. Pulls the ball out behind the runner and out to Grant again. Nice little tip on there by the big number 8, and then goes in to secure possession. I think it's perhaps it's Singleton or Beckett in fact come on at fly half. A change there. We'll still see Cunningham out there, so we'll work out exactly the backline formation that Wolves are playing with just shortly. Back it comes to Grant again. That's 3 times he's had his hands in the ball in quick succession. Adam Sinclair in to help him. Hiddleston and Breeze both with the headgear there. deep pass back to captain Marcus Holden, who sends that one high, perhaps just a little bit too long, however not dealt with by Guthrie. Lost it backwards though, so the referee says play on. Scott out to ball.
Use!
Scott having to dig
You're good on there.
for this one with his boot. Kick this himself. Up it goes. Hasn't got a lot of ground on this one. Cunningham coming in to try and snap that one up. Away goes Berg. Lost again, and Stirling Wolves kick that back into the Watsonians. 22, Coetzer.
Oh, he's in.
So all his skills as a runner in the first half. And we see great work as a kicker there, but he had an excellent first half as it was involved at Gloucester. I think played a few games in the Premiership with Gloucester, and he was good with ball in hand in the first half. That's a good clearing kick.
Yeah, I think he was instrumental in quite a lot of the tries, because he was, as soon as the ball was kicked to Watsonians, he was there, he swept it up and he took the attack straight back to Stirling Wolves. But I think Cunningham for Stirling Wolves looks like he's moved out to the right wing, so I wonder if that's a replacement for Kieran Clark. And I think Singleton has moved into fly half position, and they've just reshuffled their deck. But that's brilliant play from Watsonians.
Through between the legs, now to Coetzer again. He's got Guthrie with him, perfectly timed pass, and away goes Guthrie, back goes Grant again. Great attempt by the big Stirling Wolves number 8, but couldn't quite get to Watsonians left winger Angus Guthrie, and he goes in for their 5th try.
We literally just finished speaking about Coetzer and what influence he has there. Lee Miller with the through the legs pass, brilliant. Berg gets the ball through the hands quickly as well, but Coetzer just eats up the ground for such a slight short player. He is electric over the ground, and you can see how much that means to him as he pumps the air with his fists after his teammate goes in for a score. The accuracy, but look at this pass from Lee Miller through the legs. Berg quickly getting the ball into space, and that is what Watsonians do. They get the ball into the space, and Coetzer 2-on-1, good strength there from Guthrie, because palming off big Benedict Grant isn't an easy task, but he swatted him away, goes over the whitewash and gets a score.
You can see Benedict Grant speaking there to his fullback Craig Robertson, I think telling him to go wide. I think Grant realised he wasn't going to get to the wide man, but he was going to get to Coetzer, and Craig Robertson didn't trust him, I don't think, enough to step out, or they might have shut that one down. I mean, great effort there by Stirling number 8, but Guthrie had just enough space and just enough strength to wriggle clear. Lee Miller, who is yet to miss from the tee, sends that one through the uprights again. Watsonians 38, Stirling Wolves 0.
Yeah, he gets the 2 points for his brilliant bit of play there through the legs. That was absolutely amazing. We spoke about it before the game. You said, is there anybody to pick out? Lee Miller returned to the team. I thought, yeah, he's good. He's accurate. He's always, he's very structured, but he's had a great offload. Impeccable from the tee, and that through the legs pass is just so instinctive. It's all the signs of a world-class rugby player.
We say he's very structured, but he can. He's looked to get the ball wide. He's picked his passes very, very well today. Away goes Stirling Wolves. Back to Holden. Quickly through the hands to Gordon. Charges into contact. Dragged down by fellow New Zealander Joe Reynolds. Hiddleston. Tip on there to Breeze. Slow ball again for Christie. Again, Wolves put it into that wide channel. Up comes that Watsonians defence, makes the tackle behind the gain line. George Breeze again, a little dancing step. He's dealt with well by Jamie Beresford. Unusually not on the try on the scoring sheet yet. Beresford 3 tries in 2 games. Stirling losing ground here. However, high tackle and quick tap and go by Christie. Tries to keep the pace of the game high. It's past the tackle of Bratton. Knock on there by Watsonians. So Stirling Wolves, you can see trying to build some pressure, increase the pace of the game,
Can't hear, mate,
particularly through Christie.
1-5, red, 1-5. Thanks, pal.
Changes here.
It's okay. I know you didn't mean it, it's just one of them, mate. It's a bit of a nothing, but it's...
Adam Sinclair.
Lord.
Midday is done.
One of the dangers that Stirling Wolves might fall into is when you've got to attack, you've got to commit a lot of bodies to the breakdown or to that attacking area. And one of the real strengths of Watsonians is he can get the ball to the space very, very quickly. So that's somewhere where Stirling Wolves might fall on their sword slightly, but a little bit better from Stirling Wolves, more attacking intent. They look a little bit more cohesive. They're starting to go through some phases, but the try from Watsonians came off of that. It came off of them trying to attack, and Watsonians then spin the ball wide.
Cian Watt on in the second row for Watsonians. Looks like Struan Cessford on this side of the scrum now the other side of the scrum for Stirling Wolves. The permit player Heriots is to cover for injuries.
Set!
Good solid scrum there for Stirling, and wins the penalty. You can see Cessford there. Congratulations of his teammates. Makes a real impact just coming on to the field. What can Stirling make of this?
Yeah, good impact off the bench, and we spoke about the depth of the squads, and then also being able to call on these permanent players. Struan Cessford's a really good rugby player by his own right, and obviously coming across the city, especially for Heriots. He gets one up on Watsonians there for Stirling Wolves.
Confirmation there that Cian Watt on the field now for loose ball for Watsonians.
Yeah, that's right.
Particularly workmanlike performance by Ball. A very good season for Watsonians. So Stirling Wolves.
Hold! Get back!
Cloud on for Sinclair. You see confirmation on your screen there. Here goes this Wolves driving line out. Hiddleston at the back, breaks away, can't quite get to the line. Dragged back by his opposite number, Carl Davis. Stirling, the best opportunity of the match so far. What can they make of this one? They get themselves on the scoreboard for the first time. Harrison Courtney off for Cole Lamberton now for Watsonians. Round the corner come the forwards again. Harris McLeod.
It's your man.
Watsonians defence holding firm. Christie again looking for runners. Throws a wider pass out there and finds Hamish Ferguson. Very close to the line. In fact, he is over the line there. Stirling Wolves do get themselves onto the scoreboard. Good work by Hamish Ferguson. A big second row. You can see Christie having to dig for that ball there, and he looked. He had two options there and went across the face of Jack Hill and finds Hamish Ferguson, who goes over for his side's first try.
And that's where the try's made. When you can see that pass there, it's really flat. You see them stick. You see Watsonians stick there. It was Beresford who was flat-footed because there was a supporting player there. That's when the gap opens up. That's when players start to move in and nudge in slightly, and that's exactly what happened there. Great power from big Hamish Ferguson to bounce off a couple of players, but it was just that, a little bit better attacking shape from Stirling in the right areas. Ask questions of the defence, and then Holden can stick over what is a very easy conversion to add the 2 points to what was a well-worked try.
The good work there by Stirling Wolves. It's taken them 50 minutes. It was their first real opportunity, and one line out in that first half, which they should have made more of. On this occasion, they did get themselves over the try line. It's a long way back. They've got half an hour.
Picked up.
It's been snapped up there by Gregor Christie. Struan Cessford. Christie looked to the right, but off he goes to the left, and that's the try scorer. Throws a skip pass out to the wing there. And dealt with well by Watsonians defence. Murray Scott involved in the tackle. Hiddleston now. Stirling struggling to get themselves beyond their own 22 there. I think Christie setting himself up for a kick here.
Take him back in.
The protection, the shape of George Breeze at the back of that with the blue headgear on. Sends it long, taken by Coetzer. Quickly fed in field to Miller. An injection of pace goes through the first tackle, but didn't take the ball with him. And Stirling Wolves in possession again. Half an hour left in this one. Frantic pace all of a sudden. Back it goes to Craig Robertson. Sends the ball long off his left foot, perhaps too long. Well, no, Coetzer does really well to keep that one in, because that was a 50-22 if it had gone out. Again, the long kick up the stand side touchline. I think that was Joe Reynolds back there with the left boot. Called into kicking duties several times this afternoon. And we've got another break in play for an injury here to Campbell Wilson. Scored the second try.
This is great from, you know, it just shows the impact from Coates, but when Lee Miller tries to break through, the Stirling Wolves player getting quick to it, putting in a strong arm and stripping the ball away. And, you know, if that's on the other side, if that's the Stirling Wolves team, the Stirling Wolves attacking and Watsonians rip that out, they just go wide very, very quickly. But Stirling Wolves just went a little bit too direct. They couldn't really manipulate and capitalise on the space that was on the field. But the second half has been a lot more competitive because Stirling Wolves have been more accurate. So with the ball in hand, they've been accurate in the pass, they've been accurate in the contact area, they've protected the ball a little bit better. They've played rugby in the right areas, and it's made a competitive game.
That's good. How's your water, yeah?
Campbell Wilson seems okay to continue.
Cool.
And Carol Main in number 7 jersey today.
Yeah, please.
Wilson has done well alongside Seb Cecil.
Guys, here, please.
Back in action after a late withdrawal last week, and Neil Irvin Hess at number 8.
Just hold on. Time's on, Bex.
A little untidy in the line out there. It did come back on the Wolves' side, but snapped up by Neil Irvin Hess, Watsonians number 8, and the ball goes once again behind the forwards as Watsonians look to get it into the wide channels. Kicked through by Guthrie, and Coetzer could snap this one up. He's got support with him, can't find the ball with his boot, and it has been tidied up by Marcus Holden. And away he goes looking for support. Cunningham in to secure possession. Christie brings the ball back to the blind side, but a little untidy there, and can't be picked up by Craig Jordan. The ball goes into touch. You see that Lewis Berg, who started every game so far this season for Watsonians.
No issue with that.
They're not hanging about. Murray Scott throws that one in, and they look to now go down the stand side. Lee Miller has Irvin Hess outside him. We know all about his pace, dragged down by his opposite number, Grant. Scott on hand again, into Cecil. Dragged down by Hiddleston. And stolen by Stirling Wolves. It was looking dangerous for them. However, once again, just that mistake made, and it looked like they'd rescued the situation as Watsonians were once again threatening their try line. They come up with the ball and then a phase later lose it.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. It's, again, good heads-up rugby from Watsonians, and you can see exactly what they want to do. They want to get the ball wide, they want to stretch this defence, but they're just a little bit guilty, obviously, maybe getting a bit too far away from the support because it allowed Wolves to turn the ball over. But then Christie tries to force the pass. He's got the ball in his hands, he's in a tight area, they've managed to weather the storm, and then he tries just a very ambitious offload, and it just doesn't go hand. But Neil Irvin Hess, he just got dragged down to the ground by Benedict Grant, and I could see a wince on his face as he hit the ground. He kind of had one of those like double movement tackles that he kind of moved one way then the other, and it looked like his leg got caught underneath him. And it's been great to see him back in Super 6 because I think he's a terrific player. I remember him at his time at Melrose, really good sevens player, really good at 15s as well, and it's good to see him back at his boyhood club at Watsonians, helping them out in Super 6. So hopefully this isn't as serious as it looks.
Watsonians certainly won't want to lose another number 8. Ian Moody still out injured. He's back on his feet. Seems like he will continue. It's good news for Watsonians. A little gingerly back across to the scrum. And a great run down the right touchline by the big number 8. It's very quick. And he will be involved in the action again because it's a Watsonian scrum. Murray Scott standing with ball in hand. It's a quick word with Lee Miller, his captain. He's pulled the strings brilliantly today. So Scott out to Miller, and Joe Reynolds running just a short line to take the pass from his captain, but the ball lost as Guthrie dribbles that over the line, looking to get himself another try. Just a little bit untidy there by Watsonians, which they will not be happy with.
Yeah, I think the attacking lines were probably untidy more than anything else. I think Reynolds was just a little bit too close and a little bit too shallow for that to actually work. He ran into heavy traffic because he's got, not only does he have the back row and he's got the 10 in the centre there, he's also got the scrum half coming across. So he's running into a real congested area. I'm surprised they didn't try and go down Kieran Clark's channel and really test the winger, because the wingers have had a good afternoon for Watsonians. Angus Guthrie and Loman McPherson have both got on the score sheet in the first half and the second half, so I would have thought they maybe would ask their wingers to try something again, but looked for that first phase strike move, try and suck the defence in. It just was maybe a little bit inaccurate from Watsonians.
Yes, there was enough of a blind side for them to have attacked down. They've got the pace of Irvin Hess off the base if they want, and
Crouch!
opted to go left, and Miller and Reynolds looked like they almost went through the same hole as you say. Reynolds just came in a little bit too tight and among the traffic, lost the ball. A chance then for Stirling to clear their lines for the second time in the game, and for the second time in the last 5 or 10 minutes since Struan Sesford came on the field. They've won themselves a scrum penalty.
Yeah, that's twice. Cole Lambert is he's been penalised at the scrum since he's came on. He's been made to work hard by Struan Sesford, who's been the replacement front row for Stirling Wolves. So you can see the disappointment as he got out of that scrum. He was bemoaning the referee's decision and perhaps his own accuracy at the set piece, but the referee's got a very good view of it. Gives the penalty to Stirling Wolves. He kicked downfield, and it relieves a little bit of pressure, but it's certainly been more positive from the Stirling Wolves so far in this second half. So we've got a long way to go in this game. I wouldn't say there's going to be a comeback coming on, but they certainly look like they've upped the ante in terms of the performance.
Guys, hold on, a sub's happening. Hold on.
You and I have spoken before in commentary, Dale, about the effect that bringing substitutes has on, and back in the sprint series the games just seemed to go into a lull for 10 or 15 minutes. It disrupted the flow, but if anything that's a real positive. We're not seeing that happening quite so much in the championship.
I think teams are experimenting a little bit less with the actual the Super 6 campaign as a whole. I know people said the sprint series was a kind of pre-warm-up, like a pre-season, but it was very competitive. But I think that the squads had an opportunity to look at players they want to use, and they're a little bit more settled now.
Outside.
Angled kick from Dom Coetzer.
Yeah, good man, well done.
Excellent at the back for Watsonians rugby today, and Loman McPherson tries to dance his way through the traffic, look to find Neil Irvin Hess, and you can see Neil Irvin Hess sticking his hand in the air, waving an imaginary yellow card. Well, the referee's card is not imaginary, as he shows it to Marcus Holden, the Stirling captain.
Yeah, he's arguing the case with the referee, but it was clear from the players on the field, and we'll get a better view of it here, but you can see McPherson looking to try and dart. Keep an eye on Neil Irvin Hess as he gets there. He's trying to get the ball, and you can see Marcus Holden's left hand has just knocked the ball on, and he's trying to make a case for having a genuine attempt for the ball, but I don't think he can argue. That's the right decision from the referee, Johnny Perriam.
One step. Thanks, Michael. Edge of line, edge of that one.
So Stirling will be without their co-captain Marcus Holden for the next 10 minutes, which will not help their cause.
Inside 15.
From the line out, ball back with Carl Davis, scored the first try of the day from the back of a line out maul. This occasion, feed it back, a nice inside ball from Lee Miller. It's McPherson coming off his wing. Scott has to dig for this one. Out to the forwards now.
Who's the first man? Tried to nick
Stolen
it.
by Stirling, a little bit scrappy, comes back into the hands of Carl Davis. He just charges into contact, hit hard by Connor Gordon. And now they look to go wide again down that right flank. Coetzer, I think Stirling got a hand to that, but it does find its way into the hands of Loman McPherson. Again, just clatters into contact there. And Murray Scott's service has been good today, he's been quick.
Who's there?
And now he's got Seb Cecil there, who runs very hard with the support of Jamie Beresford. Scott again to Davis, dances inside off his left foot, keeping it fairly tight here, Watsonians, but perhaps space will appear away out on the left. Loman McPherson again off his wing, diving very close to that try line. And Scott again with that long pass. He had two options there. He found Cecil, however the ball has been knocked on, and Watsonians do not manage to add a sixth try. You'll see it here from McPherson carrying into contact there, and then two forwards round the corner there. Two options. You had Kieran Watt and Seb Cecil, and Seb Cecil couldn't take the pass.
Yeah, I would love to see another angle of that, because it looked like the bodies went to the ground and the ball then squirted away after. But I'm not going to argue with the referee's decision, but everything was perfect from Watsonians up until that point. They managed to go through the phases. They were using their big runners. They then tried a winger coming through to try and puncture the defensive line, and then that flat pass to the second runner, really, really flat, just fixes your defence. And it was just the inaccuracy from Cecil to get the ball down. Great defensive work from Stirling Wolves to be able to put the pressure on, but it's just a chance that's gone begging.
That's 2 times today we've seen that pass across the face of one runner. In fact, that's where the score of Campbell Wilson came from. They've done it another couple of times from 9, and it just there's often just a little bit more space. The defence expected to hit that first runner. Good scrum again from Stirling Wolves. They seem to have the upper hand now, just with the changes in the front row for both sides. Away goes Christie, shows his pace. And goes Gordon to secure that, and Craig Robertson acting as scrum half with Christie at the bottom of that ruck. Floated pass away out wide, and you're right, Dale, Ewan Cunningham is out on that right wing. Hasn't seen an awful lot of the ball since he went out there. Christie again, referee says advantage over. Stirling Wolves decide to put boot to ball and they force Watsonians back. You get the feeling this will just be run hard back at them. Loman McPherson once again hard into contact, but he was hit well by the Stirling defence. Here come Watsonians, just on their own side of halfway. Stirling and Cessford just did a sniff of a turnover there, but couldn't quite get it, and dummy thrown, and away go Watsonians again. Scott looking for his vice-captain, Carl Davis, who took that in about the 3rd time of asking. And away goes Irvin Hess again, couldn't quite stay on his feet, or he would have been off. And placements getting themselves involved now. Cole Lamberton. And down that right flank they go again. Lee Miller is pulling the strings. Take play up into 22.
Who's there?
Still down that right touchline if they choose to go that way. Now they come back again, and Bobby Bratton takes it into contact. Good defence by Stirling Wolves. They come racing up hard. However, they might have just lost their shape there and left a bit of a gap for Ryan Daly, who darts back inside. The door closed firmly on him. Still Watsonians threatening in around that Stirling 22. A little snipe there. Seb Cecil just throws the ball hopefully over his shoulder and finds replacement Cole Lamberton, who crashes over the try line, and Watsonians do get their 6th try. Good work by Seb Cecil, the blindside flanker. That was a rather hopeful offload, but it went into the hands of Cole Lamberton. You can see it here. It's through over his shoulder, I think probably trying to find Irvin Hess. Instead it went to Lamberton, and over goes the big prop.
Yeah, he's had a difficult time in the scrum since coming on, but he certainly looked pretty fresh in the loose there. Good carry, good support. He's just on the shoulder there, manages to catch it and show a good sidestep, if we can call it that, just to the left-hand side to go over the line. But again, the difference between when they've got the ball in hand, I watched Stirling for a couple of phases there, and they were taking about 3 or 4 seconds to then move the ball. They weren't getting in the wide channels quick enough. The pace which Watsonians move that ball away from the contact zone is really, really impressive, and that is what's allowing these gaps to open, because players are committed. They have to commit to the tackle because they don't know if they'll carry or if they'll pass.
Again, should be fairly easy for Lee Miller. He just
Good try.
Sticks that one through between the uprights. That's 15 points so far for Lee Miller. I wouldn't bet on that being his last points of the day. Still 18 minutes left in this one.
9.
6 conversions for Miller. Not penalty, 9 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I think he's coming there, mate. Thank you.
Watsonians 43, Stirling Wolves 7 at Myreside. Round 5 of the FOSROC Super 6.
When you're ready.
It should have been the halfway point in the regulation games, but of course we've got that postponement between the Ayrshire Bulls and the Southern Knights, so we're not quite there. That game will be replayed next week. I think there's still plenty of points left in this game. Murray Scott still in the field. at scrum half for Watsonians. Carl Davis has got through a power of work carrying today. Scored the first try, but his ball carrying, his tackling has been excellent as always. The ball kicked through and bounces nicely for Coetzer. Just offloads it in the one movement. Fantastic play by the Watsonians fullback and puts away Ryan Daly. And the tries are raining down here now for Watsonians at Myreside.
We spoke before about the influence that Coetzer's had on this game, but just watch this. If you're a young budding rugby player coming up, getting the ball, looking, he knows where the space is, catches the ball two hands and just floats it straight out to his winger who's in space. And that's an excellent finish from the winger as well, being able to outstretch the flapping arm. But that is a brilliant bit of skill. You'll see it here from a better angle. And it just bounces up brilliantly for Coetzer. He knows exactly where the defence is, he knows where his teammates are, and the accuracy from the fullback. There's been two standout players in this game so far, especially in the backs, and Lee Miller and Coetzer are two of them that are making them tick. And you find they're probably two of the most influential positions in the back division in terms of how it's going to be played, where you're going to be playing rugby. And attacking wise, Dom Coetzer has been exceptional so far.
Another change there. Neil Irvin Hess took a knock a few minutes ago and was off. Michael Badenhorst coming on, replacement hooker. Comes on, and Irvin Hess, a bit of a rejig in that Watsonians pack. But yes, exceptional play by Coetzer, who's been brilliant at the back for Watsonians rugby today, just taking and giving that, well, it wasn't a pass, it was from the kick. He gathered it at full pace and was almost facing the wrong way and just threw the pass to his left. And Ryan Daly coming on at pace, and unfortunately for Ewan Cunningham, he started the game at fly half, finds himself out in the wing now, didn't quite have the pace to get there, and Lee Miller, no surprise, adds the extras.
You know, again, like they've both had different influences on this game. Lee Miller's kept the scoreboard ticking over, which is perhaps not the most valuable asset when you're 52 points to 7 up, but you know, he's been accurate with the boot, he's played rugby in the right areas, but Coetzer has been, you know, exceptional as well. This has been perhaps one of the best games I've seen him play in a Watsonian shirt.
Back off, Red. Right, back off, Red.
Gregor Christie now off for George Arnott. Well, that's not a light-for-light replacement either, I don't think, as George Arnott a blindside flanker to trade. Gregor Christie at 9, but they've got nines. Well, they've got Keir Singleton on the bench, they've got Ewan Cunningham, who started the game at 10, now in the wing, can also play 9. I think that will be, looks like Singleton, who is indeed.
I think that the difficulty now for Stirling Wolves is they've had injuries since the start of the campaign, and they've if anything, they've only really got worse. Ben Kearns was able to welcome a couple of players back for this fixture, returning from injury, but you know, the likes of John McKenna, George Arnott coming back from injury, but they're still missing players likes of Logan Trotter. Now he is a talisman for the Wolves. And again, this kind of just points to the difference in depth between these two squads, and sometimes that just comes down to luck.
No, you just not do it. Not very much, just hold the space. 5 minutes, then you hold the space again. Space has been good so far. Go again. Okay, quick reset. Let's go.
About 30 seconds or so till Marcus Holden should reappear.
Crouch!
Stirling Wolves
bind!
Lost their co-captain.
Set!
Deliberate knock-on. And the pressure now from that Watsonian scrum. Well, Stirling Wolves had the ascendancy for a few scrums, but it seems with the changes, the Watsonians now with the upper hand. Big tackle there by Carl Davis. I heard it ooze as the Stirling player was lifted. Again, have to work hard for that ball at the breakdown. Watsonians making a nuisance of themselves. So Singleton on, what can he do from scrum half? Just feeds his forwards, then that left touchline, and switch play back to try scorer Hamish Ferguson. Solitary try scorer, sadly for Stirling Wolves, and then back again to the left. He's trying to move that Watsonians defence around. A little bit slow, and it just allows that Watsonians defence to come flying up. Make the tackle behind the gain line. Singleton off to his fullback, Craig Robertson. Just No space to work in whatsoever. John McKenna on now in the front row for Stirling. Still stuck on their own side at halfway, and beside unable to make ground with ball in hand. Quick boot to ball taken by Kutsarabat. Now what magic can he produce this time? Well, it's the pass to the try scorer Ryan Daly, but gets the ball back. Murray Scott again just out to the forwards. Back on his feet there is Kieran Watt with the red headgear on, and then through the middle they go. Carl Davis has got support with him. Decides not to give the ball to Kutsar there. Might have been better to give the pass. Back it comes a little bit slowly on that Watsonian side. Connor Eastgate. Again, we go to that right touchline. Murray Scott dances his way into contact. And Watt again to wait on that one coming. Stepped outside the first tackler and makes good ground there. Lee Miller now, what can he do? Straight through the gap. Supporting the inside. A lovely offload to Jamie Beresford. Well, we already said, why was he not on the scoreboard? He scored 3 tries in 2 games. That's 4 tries for the big lock. But again, wonderful work by Lee Miller, who just ghosted through a gap. Ball inside there to Kwagavan Nieuwkerk, who offloads out of contact to Jamie Beresford.
Yeah, just when Coates is putting his hand up for being the best player in the field, up pops Lee Miller again with a great line break, finds the gap, pins the lugs back, and it's that, being able to get the ball back behind your body when you're facing the other way with such accuracy is that's another top quality skill. That's another great display of the skill level that's in this Watsonian squad, and it's there's certainly the worries of injury from a few weeks ago for Lee Miller has been well cast aside now. He looks as fit as I think as he ever has done. I think it's another chance at an easy conversion as well. Slots that over, and it's 59 points to 7, and it's certainly been a good evening's work for Watsonians.
Marcus Holden in the centre of your screen there. Stirling Wolves co-captain. Carded for a deliberate knock-on. 32 years old now, New Zealander. Cypriot international, and in fact their try and points high scorer. Unable to produce anything for his team today, and very little possession. And it's Watsonians really dominating this game now, and Carl Davis has been
well done, 19, thank you.
As always. The Watsonian Suker, ball goes high. Not quite gathered by McPherson there. However, snap for the ball, won by Watsonians, and they'll look to go wide again. It's 2 or 3 quick passes out into the wide channel. Kutsar, he was hit without the ball there. You can see he is down. In come Watsonians to win this one.
I know. You've got advantage now.
I'll look at that again. Yes, you can hear an advantage there for tackle out the ball. That was a sore run. Kutsar is still down. Hopefully we will not lose him, but we'll have a look at the replay here. But that seemed a clear-cut case of being tackled out the ball.
That was borderline assault. It was again from Watsonians, good getting the ball wide, and no wonder that they're trying to hit Coates early, because but that's as nice as hit as you like. It was Connor Gordon just dropped the shoulder, and he's just hit Coates off the ball and probably not expecting it, and he'll need a bit of time to get some air back to inflate his lungs again, because he was certainly clattered by the back row. You can see Lee Miller having a little laugh at the expense of his teammate as well. So it's again, it just shows the danger in this Watsonians backline, because they're moving the ball. He's a danger player, and there again, ball through the hands. Let's get it into the wide channels through the hand of Guthrie, and then boom, Coates can have a little lie down for a couple of minutes.
And you can see why Connor Gordon expected he was going to get the ball. New Zealander on South African.
I'd rather hit Coates before he gets the ball than after he gets the ball, because he could make you look silly on the other side of things. Back on his feet, seems okay to continue. Just winded, as you say, Dale.
Guys, you go on the
fear
track
for his ribs, I suspect.
5-ish.
Initially.
Yeah, please.
As the air knocked from his lungs. It'd be a real shame to lose him, because, as you say, alongside Lee Miller today, the two of them have been exceptional, and Carl Davis in the forwards has been the real pick for me, the vice-captain. Towards that time, Dale, we have to start thinking about your player of the match. But away come Watsonians from the line out. Lee Miller again looks to get the ball into the wide channels. Well, Dom Coetzer is absolutely fine because he just goes his way through there. Can't quite get to the try line. Is he over? No, the referee says he has knocked that ball on there. That's a real shame because that would have been some try.
Yeah, he might have made my mind up there. He's a great break there. He's got the 2-on-1 and he's passed every single one so far in this game, and it looks like he controlled it from, he's going at such pace. It looked like he almost controlled it. I think from the wry smile from Coates, I think he knows he maybe lost control of that ball when he was rolling on the ground trying to get over the whitewash. But again, just the danger of him. He's electric over the ground over the first couple of yards.
We know how good a player is, but he's never quite sparked into life since he got involved in the Super6. But today, I think, is the day that we've really seen what he is capable of.
Yeah, I think it's like Brand. Brand came to Watsonians with a lot of expectation, and everybody thought he was going to be an absolute world beater. But it took him a couple of games. It took him 3-4 games to get used to it. And I think Coetzer has been the same. He's slowly started to show his class.
Everybody having a well-earned rest. I think we perhaps lost communication with the referee. We can't now hear what is being said, but he's just having a quick word with the two front rows. I don't know what he expects. All new front row. I think Carl Davis perhaps the only original still in there. So eventually we get the ball in from Singleton. Again, a good scrum from Stirling, and Benedict Grant picks up from the base. He's dealt with well. Watsonians in there digging for it, can't quite come up with it. I think that was Quagga van Nieuwkerk being told by his teammates just to leave that one. Don't concede a penalty down here. Force Stirling Wolves to play out from deep, close to their own try line. Look for a turnover, and Stirling Wolves, it would be better to just get that ball out of there. And they do decide to do that. Singleton sends that long and high and finds a touch. It's down that Stirling left flank on the stand side of the pitch on the 22.
Yeah, it's a good release there from a little bit of pressure inside their own 22, but I think both teams will be just looking to just play out this last final minutes. A bit of damage limitation for both sides in terms of personnel and also scoreline.
A little break here as we set up the... well, in fact, we'll come at that. I was going to say we'll have a think about the player of the match now, but we will just hang fire for a second. See what Watsonians can do from this line out, quickly out into the midfield, and Van Nieuwkerk hit hard again by Connor Gordon. He's put in some solid tackles today. At least that one on Coetzer 2 or 3 minutes ago. Without the ball, here go Watsonians round the corner again, and Beresford, try scorer. Coetzer angling back in towards the breakdown. Can't find his way through there. Dealt with again by Gordon. And Watsonians now take the ball away to the right. Lee Miller skips out of another couple of tackles, but loses that ball. Now let's now take a chance, Dale, to announce our FOSROC Super 6 player of the match.
Yeah, I think we've obviously said there's been a few standout performances, Cal Davis being one of them. Lee Miller has been absolutely sensational throughout this game. But Lee Miller's not done anything that I've not seen him already do, and I think that those offloads and the through the leg pass, his kicking accuracy has been brilliant. But that man there, Dom Coetzer, has been a man reborn this evening. He has been in every single attack in line. Defensively, he's been really good, but in attacking positions, is him drawing the defence, him getting into dangerous areas. In terms of what he's created for his team and being able to be on the receiving end of that last pass, he's been an absolute standout player for Watsonians, so he's the FOSROC player of the match.
I agree wholeheartedly with your selection, Dale. I think Watsonians will be really excited about what he has brought to their play this early evening match. And here go Watsonians again with a charge down to the kick, and that's the easiest try of the match. Conor Eastgate, the man to go over, who just got up, pressurised the kick, and it bounced nicely for him, straight into his hands. And Eastgate goes in for Watsonians' 9th try.
It was.
Time. I'll tell you when.
It was a great charge down, but it was very fortunate there that it's just landed in the complete sweet spot. I think he's had to take a bit off his face as well, but he's managed to gather the ball and go in for a score. And it's difficult because you never want to see a team, a team on the receiving end of a heavy defeat. But Watsonians have been a complete class above Stirling Wolves for the duration of this game. There was about a 5-10 minute period where Stirling Wolves came back into it, but Watsonians were able to weather the storm, realign what they were doing, and crack on for there. So it's certainly been a polished performance from the Myreside men.
Okay, that's you.
And Lee Millar surely cannot miss in front. Immaculate with the boot tonight. That's his 9th conversion. Add to his penalty, which he kicked 9 minutes into the game, and with that the referee blows for full time. You see the conversion there from Millar.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, Benny. Thanks. Cheers, guys. Thank you, mate.
The referee will seem to blow up rather early there. I'm not sure if he had taken pity on Stirling Wolves soon enough, but there's confirmation of our final score here at Myreside in the FOSROC Super 6. Watsonians Rugby 66, Stirling Wolves 7.
Yeah, it's been a really good evening's work for Watsonians. I think they needed a reaction after the defeat against Ayrshire Bulls, and they've certainly had it. Stirling Wolves, they came into the game, their coach Ben Cairn said there was no pressure on them, but I think that after a defeat of this magnitude, after a heavy defeat against Heriots away from home last week, this piles pressure on them. You don't want to be the team at the whipping boys of a division, and that's certainly what Stirling Wolves are going to have to try and rewrite in the coming weeks.
Yes, you do wonder where Stirling Wolves go next. So now this might take us a while, Dale, because we have got the full match analysis to now enjoy. So let's rewind the clock all the way back to the 5-minute mark.
Thank you.
And Carl Davis opened the scoring for Watsonians from the line-out maul.
Yeah, again, we mentioned it in the first half. This is what Carl Davis does so well. He hits his line out. He's really accurate, but he drives that maul expertly. He manages to put his contribution into the power of the drive, but he's also got enough wits about him to see where the space is. And I think he's really brave from a driving maul. Is that he really likes to go on his own. He likes to make sure he takes that opportunity.
Lee Millar with the conversion there. And as that ball bobbled about, Stirling Wolves conceded a penalty here. As Murray Scott tried to have a little dart down a gap that didn't exist, and Lee Millar extended the Watsonians' lead out to 10 points. And then came the Campbell Wilson try. Lee Millar again instrumental in this one, picked his pass nicely, had 2 options, found Wilson, and he went in under the posts.
Yeah, I think a big difference between these two teams this evening was the structure of it, and you can see there's a pod there coming round, the 3 players, 1 carry, 2 clear out. Scrum half gets in there nice and quick, hits his standoff, and he's got 2 options, and that's what fixes the defence. And the fly half picks the right option, the Campbell Wilson picks the right angle, and he goes in for a score.
I think I'll probably say Lee Millar with the conversion, because we know he gets them all. And then out it came to Loman McPherson with the 3rd try. As we said at the time, he had no right to score this, but wonderful play by the right winger.
Yeah, he had a really good first half. He was popping up all over the field, and it was because of the gaps that were being created. A winger loves to see that. He loves the opportunity, and this was he was made to work really hard for it. He bounced off his wing. He came off his right foot. He's had to go back off his left. It was pretty poor defence from Stirling Wolves, but McPherson was able to go in for another good score.
Watsonians had to wait 20 minutes between the scores of Campbell Wilson and Lomond McPherson as Stirling Wolves tried to build their way back into the game, but they only had to wait another 4 minutes before Joe Reynolds scored here. The ball flicked out the back door by Lee Millar, and away went Scott and fed Reynolds.
Yeah, Lee Millar, in terms of player of the match, he'll feel hard done by, because his contribution to this game was absolutely excellent. And I think if you can look at it here, he's just passed that ball. The ball goes along the line through the hands of the Watsonians players as easy as you like, and the first player to pick that ball up there is Lee Millar. Gets wrapped up and then gets the ball out with an excellent offload to Coatzert, who was the player of the match. And it then goes to Joe Reynolds, and he goes in for the score. I think it was actually Murray Scott perhaps was a supporting player, but again, just the work rate from Watsonians off the ball is top notch.
And Lee Millar's conversion, the last action of the first half, took the score to 31-0. And through came Coetzer there early in the second half. Just 3 minutes old, and fed Angus Guthrie as a left winger went in for the 5th try.
Yeah, but look at this, Choo through the legs, and Lee Millar with a great offload. And it's just the awareness of Watsonians, that they know where the players are. They give absolute maximum effort to their supporting lines, and that's what makes them so dangerous, is that all the players are ready to receive that ball, and Guthrie was in a great position, and Coetzer fed him well.
Credit to Benedict Grant, Stirling Wolves number 8, working hard to get across and make the tackle, but Guthrie just too quick for him. Stirling Wolves did cross the try line on the 48-minute mark, and good driving play there by Hamish Ferguson, fought his way over the try line.
And that's it there, that's just that flat pass. They managed to fix the defence, and they're in a close area there. If you're doing that on the halfway line, you're not going to get tries, but they managed to get themselves in a fortunate area and put the pressure on, and they were accurate in that case.
Marcus Holden adding the extras there, but shortly after he was sent to the sin bin for 10 minutes as he tried to, well, he will claim he tried to intercept that one, stuck a hand out and knocked that ball on, showing a yellow card.
Yeah, he did. I don't think he had much of a case to answer there at all. But it was an opportunity for him to try and get the ball. But it was a difficult afternoon in the scrum for Cole Lamberton. But he managed to get on the end of a really good score there. Great offloading again, and the prop goes in for a try.
Yeah, you can see Murray Scott here hits. That was Seb Cecil back in action today, and he threw the ball over his shoulder, I think looking for his number 8 Neil Irvin Hess, and instead found Cole Lamberton, who gratefully took the pass and charged over for a rare try for him. Then that kick through and taken at pace by Dom Coetzer, that was just exceptional there, and fed in one movement the ball to Ryan Daly, who raced away and scored their 7th try. Yeah,
and I think, you know, between Coetzer and Lee Millar, if we're trying to compare them, I think the difference is Lee Millar did things that were quite exceptional, but Coetzer did the basics exceptionally well, and you know, just that catch and pass, running at full pace to release Daly, it was a great exhibit of pace, skill, and you can see the supporting lines that come through from Watsonians. We've spoken about it in this highlight reel here, but you know, it has been absolutely intense. It's been top notch all evening.
And back we came again, and Jamie Beresford, we were worried he might not get on the scoreboard. 3 tries in 2 games, on hand to take the inside ball from Quagga van Nieuwkerk, and over he went. Well, we've still got 1 try to watch, but we'll take a short break from our analysis to see the man of the match presentation. Well, there you go, you got your 2 men on screen that were in your consideration, Dale, and Lee Millar with the medal in his hand, knowing he's got to give it to his fullback Dom Coetzer. He'll have half a thought he might keep it himself.
Yeah, I was worried he was walking away with it, but due to budget restraints, we can't give them a co-man of the match. But I think both these players, they were brilliant. They were excellent all afternoon, and I think that's what they've got. Watsonians have a really good team there. You know, Lee Millar, the captain of the team, obviously congratulating his fullback, but Lee Millar will be happy that Coetzer's been able to produce that sort of performance. You know, as a captain, that's what you want. You want the best for your team, and you can see he's walking away now, letting Coetzer take all the plaudits, and rightfully so. He deserves it because he had a really good afternoon.
Dom Coetzer, the Watsonians rugby fullback, our FOSROC Super 6 player of the match. We've got time still for a 9th try, and again it was Millar who darted through. Well, in fact, that's a replay, apologies, of our 8th try. Let's have a second look at that one. And the ball fed to Van Nieuwkerk, who in the tackle fed inside to the on-rushing Jamie Beresford. Millar again with the conversion, and then the charge down here. That was unlucky for Stirling Wolves as they looked to exit their 22, and it was charged down by Connor Eastgate.
Yeah, this doesn't take a lot of analysis at all. It was just a clearance kick from Stirling Wolves, and the player from Watsonians, Eastgate, managed just to get in the right place at the right time, gathered the ball well, and when the bounce of the ball and the flight of the ball's in your, you know, when it's going your way, that's exactly what happened with Eastgate there. He was able to just grasp the ball, go in for a score, and that is a cherry on top of what is a very, very delicious cake for Watsonians, because that is a big win in the FOSROC Super 6.
So a quick summary of the results. Just the 2 games this weekend in the FOSROC Super 6, round 5, so that should have marked the halfway point in our regular season. We'll still have the playoffs to come after that, but as I mentioned earlier, the Southern Knights against the Ayrshire Bulls game was postponed. It will be played next weekend as the Ayrshire Bulls took on Glasgow Warriors at Inverness last night, losing narrowly 22 points to 17. But in the action we did have last night at Meggetland, Boroughmuir Bears 26 points to 17 winners over Heriot's Rugby, which briefly took them to the top of the table. But they have been leapt again by Watsonians, 66 points to 7 winners today. So they retake top spot, a 3 points advantage over Boroughmuir Bears. And the Ayrshire Bulls still with that game in hand, can jump back into second place if they can see off the Southern Knights down in the Borders next weekend. But Watsonians Rugby proudly back on top of the table. Sadly, Stirling Wolves yet to register a point.
Yeah, and you know, the interesting thing about the table here is it's about vying for positions. It's not being top of the pile come the end of the run of fixtures. It's getting yourself into a position where you can compete for the championship, and this puts a lot of pressure. Watsonians have really laid down a marker here in the halfway stage for them, and put the pressure on Ayrshire and also Boroughmuir to really start picking up the points. And in these tight games, when the teams all start playing each other again, you know, these wins are going to really have a big say on who's going to finish either in the playoff final, the championship final, or who's going to be competing for the bronze or the basement boys. So it's certainly an intriguing, at the halfway stage, it's an intriguing table. There's a lot of spinning plates with that. The only thing that you probably have got to say is Stirling Wolves are certainly, it's an uphill battle for them to get anywhere away from that bottom place playoff.
So Watsonians bounce back in style after last week's loss against Ayrshire Bulls. 9 tries, 21 points for their captain Lee Miller, and an exceptional performance from their fullback Dom Coetzer, our FOSROC Super6 player of the match. We will be back next weekend with that rearranged fixture, the Southern Knights against the Ayrshire Bulls next Saturday. All remains to be said is thank you from all the team here at Scottish Rugby and QTV, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.